The red dragon pack arrived at dusk, the sky already bruised purple and gold by the dying sun, their colossal wings beating thunder into the mountains as fire rolled in their throats and ancient fury burned in their eyes, for they had followed the scent of fear, blood, and stolen life across valleys and ruined cities, certain that a human, small, fragile, and reckless, had dared to harm what belonged to them, and in dragon law there was no crime greater than touching a hatchling without consent. No punishment more merciful than annihilation, so they descended upon the battlefield like living meteors, claws gouging stone, tails shattering the earth, heat warping the air itself, only to halt in stunned, impossible silence when they reached the crater at the valley's heart, where instead of a butchered nest or broken shells, they found a lone human male lying unconscious amid ash and shattered armor, his chest rising and falling in shallow breaths, his body marked by burns and wounds that would have killed 10 men, and there, curled against his heart, tucked beneath his chin, and sprawled across his shoulder plates like living embers, were the red pack's missing hatchlings, fast asleep, their tiny wings twitching as they dreamed, their claws loosely hooked into the human's torn cloak, their scales glowing with the gentle warmth of safety rather than fear, and in that moment, ancient instincts collided within the dragons, because hatchlings did not sleep like that unless they felt protected, did not expose their throats unless trust had been earned, and certainly did not choose a human as their resting place unless something had gone terribly, wonderfully wrong. Memories surfaced among the elders as they circled slowly, lowering their heads, recalling the old warnings carved into dragon stone long before humans learned fire, that there would come an age when the smallest of the short-lived would stand between dragons and extinction, not with strength of claw or flame, but with stubborn defiance and compassion that refused to bow even to monsters, and as the pack leader, ancient Varketh the Emberfather, stepped closer, his molten eyes traced the story written across the battlefield, the scorched corpses of ironclad raiders who had hunted dragons for alchemical profit, the broken chains meant for hatchlings, the burned siege engines reduced to slag, and at the center of it all, this human, who had clearly fought until his body gave out, not to steal, but to shield, not to conquer, but to endure, and the truth struck like a hammer. This was not a thief, this was a wall, this was a single, fragile creature who had chosen to stand alone against an army because something smaller than him needed help, and HFY legends were born precisely in moments like this, where humans, lacking scales and fire, compensated with sheer refusal to quit, and the dragons felt something dangerous stir within them, something older than rage, respect, the smallest hatchling stirred then, pressing its head against the human's collarbone, releasing a soft trill of contentment that echoed louder than a roar in the dragon's hearts, and Varketh lowered his massive head until his snout hovered inches from the human's face, feeling the warmth of life still there, thin but stubborn, and instead of unleashing flame, he exhaled slowly, bathing the human in a controlled ember breath meant not to burn, but to heal, sealing wounds, knitting flesh, lending draconic vitality to a body that had no right to survive yet stubbornly did, because humans were like that. They survived out of spite, out of love, out of a promise they refused to break even when no one would know, and as the human coughed weakly and drew a deeper breath, one eye fluttering open in confusion to find himself surrounded by living gods of fire, fear should have crushed him, but instead he smiled faintly, murmuring a broken apology for falling asleep on guard duty, as if dragons were unruly pets rather than extinction incarnate, and the pack froze again, utterly disarmed by the audacity of it, by a being so small that dared to joke while staring into death. And in that absurd, sacred instant, a pact older than language was silently rewritten, because the Red Dragon Pack did not come for blood that day, they came for judgment, and judgment found a protector, not a criminal. When dawn broke, the valley was quiet, the raiders erased to ash, the human resting against a mound of warm scales. As the dragons stood watch in a circle no enemy would ever cross again, and when he finally woke fully, surrounded by hatchlings chirping happily and titanic guardians who now bowed their heads instead of raising claws, he became something no prophecy had clean words for, not a dragon rider, not a king, but proof that humanity's greatest weapon was never firepower or magic, but the insane, beautiful tendency to care when it would be easier to walk away, and from that day forward, whenever the Red Dragon Pack took to the skies, humans whispered in awe not just of their flames, but of the lone scarred man who once held the future of dragons against his chest and dared the universe to try taking it from him. If this story gave you chills, inspired you, or reminded you why humanity, hit so hard, subscribe to the channel, because more legendary HFY stories like this are coming, and you won't want to miss the next moment where humans stand small, and change everything.